Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our July sustainability chat focused on the sustainability efforts at Hamilton Soda Elementary School right here in La Crosse. My name is Casey Meehan. I'm the Director of Sustainability and Resilience at Western Technical College. And in that capacity, I also help support some of the great work that the Sustainability Institute does, like programming like this. The Sustainability Institute is a 501c3 organization that's located in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And our mission is to celebrate the sustainability efforts that are happening in our Driftless area. So we really want to help people paint a positive vision of what a sustainable future could look like here in our region. Few just really quick matters of housekeeping that we're also in the chat area. In order for this to run smoothly, we ask that you keep your cameras off and your microphones muted. We will be monitoring the chat box though. So if you've got a question or concern, please do type it into the chat box. And to access that chat box, just click on the little conversation bubble icon that's located on the toolbar of your Zoom screen. This chat is going to be recorded and it will be available on our website in a day or two. Sustainability chats like this are an informal event that really serves to inform and inspire our audience on interesting sustainability actions that are happening in our area. After about a 25-minute-ish or so presentation, we'll have about 10 minutes for a Q&A for our guests. So if you do have a question, please type it into the chat box and we'll feed those to our speaker at the end of our time together. Those of you that have interacted with the Sustainability Institute know that sustainability, at least our version of sustainability is not, it's more than just about keeping a clean environment. It's sustainability at its root for us is about helping people thrive. And of course that requires a healthy planet, but it also requires social justice and it requires equity and a fair economy with decent jobs and access to resources like clean water and affordable energy and nutritious food. It requires transparent government, right? Where everybody gets a say in the decisions being made. Now in 2015, 193 nations came from around the world, including the US, came together and signed what's called the UN Global Goals. So this is a set of 17 interconnected goals that are really meant to move the world towards one of sustainability by 2030. And we at the Sustainability Institute, we base all of our programming off of these global goals. So we believe that all of us as individuals and as organizations and governments, we all have a role to play in bringing about success for these goals. And our role is, we have to do what we're sort of best equipped to advance. So we believe that work towards any one of these goals, regardless of what it is that you're passionate about or where your strength is, really helps progress us towards achieving all these other goals. Today's chat highlights several of these goals. It's really hard to pinpoint any one of these goals that our guests really exemplify. We could say definitely goal number 4, quality education. Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Goal number 3, good health and well-being. And all of those are done in service to goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities, and goal number 13, taking climate action. So they say that it takes a village to raise a child. I would say it also takes a village to educate a student for sustainability. And Hamilton Elementary School, working alongside a number of community organizations, have really stepped in to help set the foundation for an education grounded in sustainability for their students. Hamilton, if you're not familiar with it, Hamilton is a pre-K through 5th grade school. And it is also located in the same building as SOTA, which is the School of Technology and Arts, which is a K-5 chartered within the school district of La Crosse. Hamilton itself was built in 1961, so it's now 60 years old. And there's about 300 students in total. today we are featuring Heather Talbot, who is the co-director of the SOLS program, and Dr. Alyssa Remsburg, also from the SOLS program, which stands for Solar on Lacrosse Schools. Both Heather and Alyssa spearheaded the implementation of an 80 kilowatt solar array on the roof of Hamilton. We also have with us Linda Vale from Grow Lacrosse, and she is responsible for doing some of the educational work around the food forest and the garden that are featured at Hamilton School. And then we also have Dr. Ben Burns, who's the principal of Hamilton SOTA. And he's going to tell us a little bit near the end of our presentation about how these sustainability projects impact the type of teaching and learning that goes on at Hamilton SOTA. So before we switch over to Heather and Alyssa, you'll see a poll pop up on your screen here. And if you could just take a couple of seconds to answer those questions. It is anonymous. We just want to get a sense of where people are at with their knowledge about today's topic. So give about another 10 seconds or so. So it looks like people are really excited about SOLS and the solar installation program, which makes good sense. It's a brand new program, and I think there's a lot of questions about how that operates. And we're split, it looks like, with the number of people that have seen some of the Hamilton SOTA sustainability efforts. So for about half our audience, this is brand new stuff maybe, and for others, it's not so much. So so that's great. With that, I want to turn it over to Heather and Alyssa to tell us a little bit about the SOLS program.
Thank you, Casey. All right, so it's exciting to see some familiar faces here today. It's also exciting to see some folks that I don't recognize. So I am the co-director of SOLS, as Casey stated, and really I am a community member. So I am Alyssa's neighbor and got involved with this, not because I'm a solar expert, not because I'm not an educator, anything like that. I am a new parent. So if you hear a newborn in the background, I do have that role. But I really am involved because it just made sense to me. So we all have lots of demands on our time and energy and all of that. But when Alyssa informed me that there were folks who really wanted to see solar on our local public schools, and it took just a second to think about that and think, wow, that would be a great investment, right? If we can save our schools some energy dollars and also benefit our environment, that just makes sense. So welcome everyone. I do have a slideshow and maybe it is showing here. I'm just getting into that. Awesome. So Solar on Lacrosse Schools pictured here. I'm not sure if the quality is poor for everyone, but we'll just roll with it. Pictured here is the solar installation that was the first for the school district of La Crosse. So gets me really excited. This is actually not on Hamilton, but I did want to lead with this. This was our first project as a group, and it is a one panel system, and it is located at Summit Environmental School, which is an elementary school on French Island, a public elementary school. And so if you want to be able to see and touch some solar that's on our local schools, this would be the easiest one to get to and be able to access. This is an off-grid system. So it's a battery operated system that powers the sign outside of Summit Environmental School. So just a little history there. We were founded as SOLS in 2020. So during the pandemic in the spring is when some volunteers, parents, teachers, graduates of the district, even a current student came together, just a handful of folks, and we came together virtually, right? Because we couldn't get together in person, and we started talking about whether whether this was the right time, right? So I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. We at Souls do believe this is the right time because we realized that our mission was really about solar sooner, right? So technology advances and eventually organizations catch up and eventually change is made, but we need solar sooner. We need action in response to the climate crisis like yesterday, right? And we've done some things within our school district. There's loads I could tell you about efficiencies and electronic management systems for energy systems. And so we've really tightened up where we could on our energy spending, but we really need to make that switch to renewables. So Solar on La Crosse Schools decided to focus on helping the school district of La Crosse to fundraise, advocate, and educate for solar sooner on our schools. And we did that, like I say, just as a group of volunteers, parents, graduates, current students. So the next slide, we'll talk a little about that urgency that I was mentioning. So now is the time for solar on schools. The cost of solar energy has fallen. This is the cost to install. So buy the panels, get it installed by 80%, more than 80% actually in the last decade. So any incremental decreases in the cost of installation, they're going to be more minuscule now. It's time for adoption. We're not going to wait any longer. And because it just makes sense. So on the next thing that we're going to see is actually, instead of me telling you, I want you to hear from a current student who will tell you about why he is excited to see solar on his school at Hamilton SOTA 1.
Step aside, introduce fourth grader here at SOTA 1. I'm going to bring it over Henry, and he's got a few words for you today.
Thanks, Henry. Hi, my name is Henry Fustar. I'm 9 years old and a student at SOTA 1 school. I will be in 4th grade in the fall. I'm really excited that my school has solar panels to help power our lights, computers, and air conditioners. I'm glad that we will be using solar power so that we don't have to rely on fossil fuels anymore. Global warming is a big problem, so this is one way our school can make a difference. I'm also really excited to learn more about this technology because solar power is the future. I hope that when I am an adult, we will be using solar energy to power all schools. Thanks for coming.
All right, Henry. So that was Henry Sustar, and he's spot on. How many of you in your K through 12 education were taught how to read a basic utility bill? Was that part of your curriculum? How many of you attended a school that had a clothesline? Dry those winter gloves, the snow pants, all of that kind of thing. And I'm wondering how many folks had a garden at their school, right? I mean, so we're making some progress. And I'm going to go back to the slideshow here. I just want to look at the next slide where we're going to focus in on how the solar, obviously it's good for the planet, and the money savings I could talk to you about for a long time, but it's a learning tool as well. Knowing how energy flows through your school building is such an opportunity for students to learn. With the panels that were put on Hamilton Elementary, there's actually a portal that students will be able to log into and track the production of those panels and be able to do some different learning experiences with that. Additionally, we are creating a curriculum hub that will benefit our local educators. So they will have by grade level different solar energy lesson plans and how to use those at the different sites within our district that have various solar installations. And we brought solar to every classroom already. It's pretty exciting. We have a portable solar panel and power station that is a charging station for lots of devices. It has a number of outlets on it, and that is reservable by any educator or staff person within the district, so they can bring that right into any classroom. Next slide. the panels on Hamilton specifically, different opportunities for education. This isn't just learning about solar, it's about learning about the optimization of solar, right? So why is there a white membrane under the panels? We can talk about that during question time if you're curious and don't know. What kind of tilt and direction are these panels facing and why? Why are our panels, solar panels on both sides? Why would we want to be able to capture energy from the backside of those panels? And why is the surround around each one of those solar cells transparent and rather than opaque or solid? Next slide. Our students in Wisconsin, solar really does make sense for them. There are 7,300 schools across the United States that are using solar, but only 2% of those are in Wisconsin. So we have an opportunity here, and the heart of that opportunity is one that doesn't come along very often. Solar is giving our schools a way to save money on a fixed cost energy, regardless of enrollment, right? And if you know anything about school finance, that is something you don't come across very often, right? Everything's tied to enrollment, but this isn't. We can save money on that fixed cost. Next slide. This is what it's really about for us. So we can make the solar technology accessible for students for learning, and also just having it be a matter of course, right? So if you attended a school that was solar powered and that's all that you knew, and you had lesson plans around that energy generation, and there was a focus on energy production and optimization in your curriculum as you went throughout school, and you heard about green jobs and you knew they were out there and that they were well paying and that the industry was growing in your state, that would change the course of your education and your life potentially. So it's something that we're very proud of, and we are excited to continue. And I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa so that you can find out more about SOLS, where we're going, where we're headed, and how you can plug in.
Hi, everyone. Carrie, we can have the next slide, please. We are just really proud of what SOLS has accomplished in the last year, just a handful of volunteers and really generous donors. And we've done 3 projects so far and are really excited to keep going with the next school installations. So feel free to join our team. We meet monthly. The next meeting is the first week of August. We'll be meeting on a Thursday evening. And everyone who supports the work of SOLS should join us at our picnic coming up Sunday, September 26th. And it'll be at one of the schools. You can also find out about our happenings with quarterly newsletters. We're trying to follow the solar events. So let's see, the fall equinox will be when our next newsletter comes out in September. So that you can sign up for at the email, SOLS Sooner. And of course, this is all made possible with donations, which you could also do at our website. We have a raffle going on right now with a $20 entry and only 200 tickets sold. This is through an app called Sabotage, which you can see on our website. And so there's some great sustainable prizes, including solar panels and hammocks and sustainable soccer balls. So we'd love to have your support in a variety of ways. Also keep in touch on social media. And thanks for your questions and for attending here today.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. There's some really exciting work going on there with solar and important work. So again, if you've got questions about any of this, please do feel free to type it into the chat and we will have a chance to get there and ask those questions in just a little bit. So next, I want to welcome Linda Vale from GROW. And I think I saw her just jump on. So hey, Linda, there you are. Great. So take it away. Tell us about GROW and what you're doing there at Hamilton Soda.
And mute myself. Welcome everyone. Okay, it's so good to see. Looking through the names here, I see some familiar faces as well. It's exciting to get us all together again. I'm on my computer right now. I'll switch to my I will jump onto my phone in a second. I just want to introduce myself and just kind of where Grow is coming from. I was really excited to see that in the poll, 91% of you know about Grow already, so that's fantastic. My name is Linda Vale. I'm with Grow Lacrosse. We are a nonprofit that focuses on school gardens. Also, we do some farm camp programming, and we are all about just connecting kids with healthy food and nature. So we're going to do that, like I said, through school gardens, our farm camps, but also diversifying our products like this in our edible schoolyard. So we're going to take a little tour around. I just kind of wanted to introduce this space. This is a very amazing project that I was able to be a part of, actually only my second season with Grow. I started as maintenance and then I worked into operations. So I've been able to be a part of recruiting, planning, maintaining, and then also facilitating learning through all of our outdoor learning spaces like our gardens and the schoolyard. So this is a great project. I worked very closely with Jamie O'Neill and also Caroline Kerr. She was our AmeriCorps member at the time. The install for this was in 2019. We did a big planning process that really took a bunch of the community together. The Edible Schoolyard is a wonderful project that was mimicked and mirrored after the food forest at the Y. We came together as a community. Wonderful Eric from Cooley Region Ecoscapes and that whole crew over there really did a ton of help for us. Mayo Soak It Up. I'll get into Soak It Up a little later when I'm giving the tour. Of course, our school district, Hamilton-Sauda Elementary School, of course, all came together. What's interesting about this place and why specifically Hamilton-Sauda was focused on for this project was because I am literally sat at the food forest right now, and I am sat in a food desert. This is a place where there's not a ton of access to low cost fresh foods. And with Grow, we know that we can go to a lot of different types of schools, and some kids come with the support of nutrition at home and some kids do not. And so when we go through our schools, at our school gardens, we think, okay, this is accessibility. We're building access to fresh food. But with this schoolyard, this edible schoolyard, we thought, how can we take it a step further? How can we make it even more accessible? So I'm going to switch over to my other camera here and just take you around. I want to show you some aspects of it, but I'll talk a little more about why we came about this. Yeah, to start, that was kind of why it all started, and just like making sure that people can focus on their food. So I'm just going to switch over to this other one here. 1 second. Just doing it. 1 second. There. Is that good? Unmute. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Let's see. Yes.
Yep, sounds good, Linda. You're on.
Oh, see, I can't. Hold on. Okay. Casey, you guys can hear me? Thumbs up? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yep,
Okay,
all
good. All right. I'm actually just walking by Ben's office right there. Okay, well, welcome. I just wanted to get you a good picture. So the front of Hamilton-Sauda Elementary, this used to be just a big flat grass area. It had really tall ash trees, but they had to be taken down because of the ash borer, and they're just getting old. And so we just wanted to really transform this space into something, like we said, to improve accessibility to fresh food. So we wanted to build this space. It started out with a lot of different sections, but as you can see behind me, this is the one big section. Back here, we have our rain garden from Soak It Up. Really helped us with the funding for this, and also some really cool signage. Our main producer of pollution is rainwater runoff. So all of these impermeable surfaces in our cities and everywhere we go just schleps that, just like the oil and the grease and the grime, it goes all the way, and especially in a river city like this, goes straight in our water. So these types of spaces, the Soak It Up kind of rainwater spaces, it draws the water down. You can see that there's a dip there, and it's just filled with native perennial plants. These do several things, but mostly it's really about filtering that rainwater runoff. So just in this one section, you can see it's pretty big, but overall it's just a small section. But it's able to take in, thousands of gallons of water on a flood or something like that, and it's able to just like pool it
and then be able to filter that through. Some of these native grasses, the roots go down 8 feet. Isn't that amazing? You think of just like your lawn grass that maybe go, you know, sod. I don't know if you've ever picked up sod. It's awful, but it's only about 6 inches down. These places are really going to send those roots down really low so that they can keep up. Another section here was our little apple orchard section. It got a little eaten out from the construction that's going on, but the construction's a good thing, so we're all good. We've got some mint on the ground here and also a Kinder Crisp apple tree. These used to be crab apple trees, and so nobody was eating them. So it's also just not taking away the space, but transforming the space into usable, accessible foods. So I'll turn right back around here. I just wanted to walk over to the main area again. This is filled with wonderful things. Now, Carrie, if you could post the picture of just the plan, just to kind of give you an idea of just like what CRE, Coulee Region Ecoscapes, was able to do for us. They really just laid out the area. They took all of the spots and laid out the area so that we could take a look at all the different types of diversity we could fit into this space, but also make it a space that was, you know, you could stroll through, you could take walks around, you can have a lot of people in there. So we also didn't want it so jam-packed that we couldn't utilize the space either. All right, thank you. That's good. We can go back to camera. So as you can see, we were able to do a 2D model, but what CRE also did and what we knew we had to do was get a 3D or, you know, an experience for people to be able to visit and see, okay, this space is going to be great. So what they did is they made a 3D rendering of the space as well. And that was really interesting to see because you can, you know, even though it's like this 2D plane, you're like able to walk into the space. And I also encourage people who are like, well, what is the food forest exactly? The best experience they could have gotten also is just walking over it to the food forest at the Y and just walking through there as well, because it's just absolutely mimicked after that wonderful space. Now, I'm sure Mr. Burns will tell you more about how this space is utilized, but as you can see, we've got a huge hedgerow of raspberries here. All of these, oh, can you guys see? Awesome. We've got a huge hedgerow of raspberries here. We also, all these here are going to be like Juneberry. We've got some currants. There's aronia. Back in this back corner, let's see. Oh, hi, sorry, bikers. Back in this back corner, we've got some elderberry. These plants are not just native to our area, but they produce really nutritious food for people. So of course, aronia is a little tart, but you can cook it, those kind of things down and, or even put them in a smoothie where there's just got other things working for it. Currants can come sweet or sour, but even currants and things like elderberry have something like 100 times the vitamin C than an orange. So they're building these native habitats being native, but then it's also, oh my goodness, just so much food for people. When it comes to access in these places, it's really important. Like I said, we tried to move it in a direction where, how can we make it even more accessible? The thing is that when we're pushing our nutrition ed in our garden lessons, which we do 3 garden lessons in the spring, 3 in the fall, we push the veg, we push taste tests, we get kids like wanting fresh food at home. But what do we do when those kids go home and say, I'm supposed to eat all this fresh food. Where is this fresh food? And all of a sudden, fresh, good, nutritious food becomes a conversation of strain and frustration at home if you can't access or afford those healthy foods. So what we've done here and what these spaces do for the community is bust the access wide open, take away the cost altogether, and you can literally come and pick free fruit, free veg at these spaces. So now, through our lessons and through programming through these spaces, you can enable a child to learn how to forage safely in these kind of urban garden spaces. They can harvest for their family and then take it home. And imagine the empowerment and the pride that a student would feel going home and being able to provide for his family these nutritious things. It's empowering for the student. We know that it's this is a skill that will keep on giving. You know, your whole life, it's not like you'll just stop needing fresh fruits and vegetables. So learning at a young age means that you can feel that empowerment and you can build also the community that they know. I just was picking raspberries with a kid today. It was so awesome. He just strolled by. We're like, let's see how many we can get. Picked a bunch of raspberries. And then he's like, oh, I got to tell my buddies about this. I was like, that's the gold, right? That's the gold, because it's word of mouth. It's that experience. He had a full sensory experience in something like this, where he was able to grab these things and go. And it's just, then the more people come, you know, a lot of this stuff, the more you pick, the more it produces. But everything else is just getting the word out about access to that food. Now, as you can see, we have a few different things. We have our berries and things like that, but we also have fruit trees. We've got pear, plum, and apple. Also, we have this plant, it's called comfrey. What's cool about comfrey is it gets huge. Look how big it gets, beautiful. The bumblebees, I love them. They also, you can use these leaves as like a natural mulch too. So everything here is very intentionally put with intention, I should say. And this is one of my favorite perennial flowers is this, if anybody knows what this is called, we call it purple coneflower. It's also known as echinacea. So this is just another way that not just fruits and vegetables, but we can also get a medicinal herb base in these kind of spaces as well. Because echinacea can be brewed in a tea and drank for immune boosting properties. I guess just a few other things. I've just got some highlights of this spot that I just love. So in our planning, our community planning, which we did at the Southside Community Center, which is this great spot, we were able to just come together, put up a PowerPoint and just like make our plans. But we did things like, do you see this post here? We see this this beautiful archway here. And where's the other, these cutie, sorry, these little guys as well, these mailboxes. So this is all elements that the community has come together to just beautify this space. CRE, Jared was able to put this together. It's a willow arch, love it. But this was one of our cultural connection lessons where we invited our Ho-Chunk community to the conversation, where we had a local Ho-Chunk woman come and teach us some Ho-Chunk language, and we talked about stories from just like history of Ho-Chunk. And then we've made this wonderful art projects where it includes Ho-Chunk language and English to help us just welcome in and make sure that everybody finds their place in the garden. Because I'll say it, and I've said it so many times, that I truly believe that there is a place for everyone in the garden. We can all come together in a spot like this, and it's all about the access. Because like Casey says, you know, we're doing some things for the environment here. Obviously, like these native perennials are bringing, attaching, or what should I say, reconnecting habitats for our native pollinators. They are absolutely feeding, you know, the local, not just human life, but also, you know, the wildlife populations and things like that. But it's also doing its job of like absorbing the water and the pollution. It's just, there's so much going on here. It's pretty special. We plan to and continue developing programming here. It's like identifying plants and knowing how to harvest is one of the best things that we can do for people, because when they identify a cherry tree somewhere else, they know that they can pick from it and utilize that. So programming is keeping coming. We do have another garden space here at Hamilton as well. So some of these perennials can be found over at our garden. So the kiddos already know when they come out here what they'll find. I'm a food sovereign, I would say. I worked at the farmer's market, but also through Grow Lacrosse, and this space, and just like the food forests at the Y, are real testament to like people coming together for the greater good, and to open access to people and not try to make a buck, but to open it up for the good of the people. And I really loved being a part of this project. And as you can see, it keeps blooming more and more every year. And with the word of mouth, I think it's just becoming more and more popular as well.
Linda, thank you so much. That was a whirlwind overview. And as Larry said in the chat, great quote, there's a place for everyone in the garden. That is such a cool way to think about the garden. And I love how, having signs in other languages, for example, right? So truly making the space feel welcoming to people, right? And so that people, when they step in there, they feel like they belong. I think that's such an important piece of that garden that extends well beyond the the biological benefits of it and the food benefits of it. So it's that building community is really cool. With that, and I know this has been a rush. With that, I want to jump over to Dr. Ben Burns, who's the principal at Hamilton Soda. And I know I think he's on day 3 or day 4 of the new school year. They're on a year-round school calendar. So his life right now is a little bit hectic, to say the least. So I'm so fortunate. We're so fortunate that he could join us today. And we asked Dr. Burns to talk a little bit about just how students at Hamilton Soda interact with these sustainability features. So in other words, what is the teaching and learning? How is that impacted by some of these different sustainability features? So Ben, if you want to take it away, go for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, first of all, and thank you to Solar and La Crosse Schools and Grow La Crosse for their continued partnership. It's something that we believe strongly in here. In terms of how it impacts students, I would say the first thing that our students would say and notice is that our structured lessons, like Linda alluded to, we typically have 3 lessons in the fall and 3 in the spring. And it's not just the front here that she showed you, but she alluded to, we have a whole separate garden just not even a half a block away out the opposite end of the building. And that is a fantastic space. The kids love going to the lessons. I remember there was a time where the kids got to make their own salsa. They got to do the harvesting and they got to pick out all the ingredients and make their own salsa. And so the lessons are certainly a big part of it, fantastic part. Additionally, we use the space in a lot of different ways. Right outside my office here, there are several stumps. And that is kind of an impromptu outdoor classroom space. And I know that we have a few classes that the kids are getting squirrely or whatever. We just need a little bit different space other than our classroom. And the teachers will take their class out there and they'll do a read aloud or they'll do an activity or whatever the case may be. Before school, after school, kids love walking through there. I know that right now we're trying to finish up our construction project. And so we actually have to walk around the building to get to the playground for recess because of the paving they have to do here in the next couple of days. And I've seen kids just on their way to or from recess, just stop and pick a raspberry because it's right there and eat it. They love showing the garden and the spaces off to their parents. The solar panels are pretty new, but I've been taking the kids up to show them every once in a while. And it's a tricky thing to try to get a kindergartner to appreciate and understand that the sunlight turns into the electricity, the lights in the classroom. So I think there's a little bit of a budding understanding of that, but that's something that we can continue to work on. The older kids, of course, they get it a little bit more, and we can follow up with a little more instruction in terms of that piece. A couple of years ago, this was probably, I think just like 2 months before, it was January, just like 2 months before COVID first started, one of our family nights, the theme was sustainability. And so we had about 12 different community partners. Some of you were probably there that night, coming in and just doing a bunch of different stations and a lot of really neat experiments and helping the kids get involved in that. So we're always looking for those opportunities. Probably about once a month or so, there is some fresh fruits and vegetables in the cafeteria for kids to try. And sometimes they like it and sometimes they don't, but we always say thank you for trying, because you never know what you like or what you don't until you try it. Sometimes it takes trying something for 10 times before all of a sudden, you know what, lettuce, that's not so bad, I kind of like that type of deal. So there are all of those ways and then more that we really love these things. When they were first doing the install of them, our students got to help with certain parts of the install, so that was a fantastic thing. I would think that there is a place for some students to help with the upkeep. I know we used to have a garden, a really small one on our playground, and students loved during recess when someone was there from Grow going over and joining in, helping water and everything. But that unfortunately had to go with our construction project, but I think that we'll continue to look for opportunities like that. So that's just a real small sampling, a number of the ways in which our students benefit from having these things here and the way in which we try to take advantages of those spaces. to not only provide some direct instruction on the sustainability of what we're doing with those, but there's also times where we can just enjoy the space and while we're providing instruction on something else, doing a read aloud or whatever the case may be.
Great, thank you so much. Let's open it up now for any type of questions that people have. I actually have one I want to fire at Ben right away, just because we've got you here. And that is, I guess it's sort of two things. First of all, are there calls for more sustainability type initiatives that you're seeing happening in your school? Do you have any other projects sort of in the works around sustainability? Or, are you here? What are you hearing from parents and in the community about these projects in school?
I would say in terms of other projects in the works, there are no other specific projects that I'm aware of. I would say that we would be very open to them. I'm not sure what those are at the moment. In terms of parents, overall, very positive response. Like Linda said, I know that I see people, parents, other community members walking by all the time, every day. And so I think the parent response has been really good. They've loved that. When we had our solar event about a month ago, and people got a tour up on the roof of seeing the solar panels, there was a very positive response from that as well, from parents and as well as community members. So I have not heard anything bad about it. I heard a couple teachers when we were first putting this in, wondering, is it going to totally block my view of the natural light? Which that's kind of like a sustainability versus sustainability kind of battle right there. Is I don't want to lose my natural light. Like I love that idea, but just make sure it's not blocking my natural light, right? I should say too, we, as part of our construction project, we actually cut out 6 windows in our cafeteria, which was just like dark and drab, and now we have some natural light in there. And so that is another project that we took on recently, specifically for the intent of getting more natural light in there in as many of our spaces as we can. So overwhelmingly positive response from everybody. No specific projects in the works, but certainly open to other things in the future.
I'm so sorry, Casey, this is Heather. I wanted to add on in regards to future projects, and don't want to surprise you, Dr. Burns, but we did get some news, and it is all still just forming, but one of the, and this is my daughter, Margot, she is future La Crosse Public School student here. We got some news that there's actually an extra panel being donated to Hamilton Soda One, and that solar panel to be placed, hopefully, right? This is all, you guys are first to hear all of this. Hopefully to be placed right near the entrance to the school, perhaps near the bike racks or around the little food pantry, something that even though our panels are accessible via a staircase, inside the school, the students will be up on that roof and they'll be able to see the panels. They will be able to see a panel down on the street level, right? And so maybe we'll be able to have that panel be a little off-grid tied system, so that it could light up the sign outside of the school or something like that, so that folks know this is a solar school. We've invested in this community in this way. And students then are able to see it. And then that's another place where lessons and things can happen. So just another small project, but a way to really highlight what's happening. And yeah, I can talk more about some other things, but I wanted to just mention that that's a project that we hope to complete, just to put a little capstone on this whole effort.
That would be great. I know that we have some signage from Grow in the garden, the edible food forest out here, and I see people stopping by to look at the signs and read about it all the time. And so if there was something like that out front with the solar, because you're right, the garden is in your face, it's right there, and the solar panels, I mean, I'm a little hesitant about taking students up onto the roof for liability reasons, right? You can and you can actually see them right out the window of some of the second floor ones. But if you're not in the building, you wouldn't necessarily know that. So having something right out front that anybody who's walking by, that would be fantastic.
Well, and instead of a wooden sign or a metal sign, we actually, thankfully, I think it was Matthew Construction that agreed to donate the entire cost of one solar panel. And we will certainly thank them for that. And instead of just putting it up there for show, we want to make it produce some energy for us too. So anyhow, thank you so much.
And actually, there's a question here for Soul. What are some upcoming projects, and are there are there other initiatives that are currently in place for other schools?
Yes, thank you
And
for
how
that
do parents and
question.
community members get involved?
Yes, thank you so much, Larry, for that question. I can't tell you how excited I was to see my city council representative here on this chat. I love it. I love how our community is so great at connecting with one another and saying yes to what's possible. So thank you for taking your time to be here, Larry. I do really appreciate it. So what's next? That's the big question, right? So we had a $50,000 fundraising goal for 2020 to 2021 school year. Okay. We met that goal. And we went a little above it, and we got some grants we weren't expecting, right? So we have some dollars on hand. We have folks who are excited and want to invest in solar on schools. And we have within our school district this long range facilities planning process that's going on. If you haven't heard about that, hop on Google, Google School District of La Crosse, long range facilities planning, right? This is a normal process that the school district goes through. Every 20 years, we make a plan. We have to, just like we teach our kids to make plans for their day, for their week, for their life, we have to make plans for our school district. How are we going to use our facilities? There's 16 buildings. I'm sure you know, Larry, there's 16 buildings that are maintained by the school district of La Crosse, 15 schools, and then one more Hogan Administration building. Many of these buildings are over 60, some of them even older, years old. Some of them are, being kept up, obviously as best as they can, but some of them, the cost to keep them up is really challenging. And so what are we going to do? Enrollment in decline, things like that. So, we are not sure exactly which school is next to get solar, but we are looking at Northside Elementary School. Now, don't quote me and say we're putting solar on Northside Elementary School because I don't know that. Go ahead, Alyssa.
Well, we're going to do a reveal at our picnic in September. So we're still working it out. And actually, it's really led by the energy manager for the district, Mike Freibler. And so we're supporting his priorities.
Yes.
And definitely keeping in mind that long-term vision, but really excited to reveal probably a couple of fundraising goals in September, which will include something big, as Heather alluded to, probably an elementary school. We also would love to keep a high school involved with a visible project that students could be involved in working with on the ground. So more details to come soon in September. And at this point, we're definitely still open to your ideas and suggestions. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Alyssa.
And a question directed to Linda, and with the GROW program, do you extend the nutrition of fresh food into some of your lessons? Do you extend it into health lessons, for example? Like how your brain functions, right? And the importance of water to the digestive system. And, I'm even curious with the curriculum in gardens about mental health, right? And we know that being outside in nature and in garden spaces is more and more studies are pointing to the benefits of that with mental health in youth. So Linda, what does any of your curriculum address some of these broader health issues? Oh, Linda, are you still there?
I'm here, sorry.
There we are. Okay, great. Because we can't. Okay.
Yeah. Can you just repeat the question? I'm sorry, it cut out a little.
Oh, sure. So the curriculum that you have around GROW and the gardens, how broadly does that extend? So, for example, we can talk about nutrition, but does it also get into fresh food and brain functions, right? And mental health, and just being outside and in nature and in garden spaces. Just how I guess broad does your curriculum reach?
Yes, I love that question. It's always so wonderful. Well, for mental health wise, we had a wonderful opportunity to be able to send some of my colleagues to an ACEs curriculum program. I think it was what do I want to say, like a summit or whatever, out in California, and they got to learn all about ACEs programming. So for you that are not familiar with ACEs, An ACE score is 1 to 10, and it has to do with different types of trauma. So maybe one score would be incarcerated parents. Maybe another score would be mental abuse at home, something like that. And we have kiddos with maybe ACE scores of 6 or higher. So we're incorporating, we have kids in our spaces that have gone through a lot of trauma. And when it comes to garden spaces, and our curriculum, we wanted to be able to include aspects of our curriculum to be able to address those types of children as well. And that's something that we learned very, very quickly was universal design, because everything we put in to our curriculum that had to do with, finding your breath, taking a mindful minute, being intentional on the way you're chewing and actually experiencing the whole process of it, breaking down, what does it taste like initially? What does it taste like after? How do you feel after? Checking in with your body, checking in with your emotional state before and after the garden. We noticed right away that was good for every single person in the garden, including staff and teach, the staff as well. We specialize in nutrition and science, but we also maintain that just as everyone has a place in the garden, I believe that everything can be taught in the garden as well, because the garden is life, and life is our best teacher, right? So when we see things interacting on a biological, right, that's great. But we can also see how the physics of something is done, how the chemistry is going on. We can talk about, our emotional and social states, but we do maybe we have to kids actually have to do some physical good old-fashioned hard physical labor, and it's very good for them because they find such wonderful pride in the garden as well. We have also partnered with UWL students with Dr. Heidi Masters, and we do in the spring and in the fall, I host their teaching students. They come to the garden and I show them basically what we do in the garden, but I show them a few examples of ways to do like a math lesson or a writing or a reading lesson in the garden. And then we sit afterwards and just brainstorm. We get a whole list of different types of lessons that you can teach in the garden. Social studies lessons like food preservations, the geography of it all, and things like that. So I think honestly, like you can take your curriculum any different way. We specify on our science and nutrition, but we always include those other aspects wherever we can, the cultural aspects. Like our last video lessons this last fall all had to do with just like culture and cooking. So we had special guests showing us different things they grow in their garden and how they would prepare those things. And that was so cool because we had so much great feedback from that of like kids who had to zoom in, right? They're Zoom learning and they're like looking at these things that they know their mom cooks in their kitchen, that things that like their friends don't know about, like bitter melon or it's different types of like Asian cucumbers and things like that. And they get so excited that they can showcase their culture and things like that. And that all has to do, and it all runs through the garden.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's just sort of another reminder that how connected we are and how excited we are, how food connects us, right? If you want to get to know somebody, you have dinner with them, and you break bread. And we can do that across the curriculum as well, right? I mean, I think food is a terrific cross-curricular aspect or concept, right? That you can teach any type of subject about. Well, great, thank you so much. And we're actually running really short on time here. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Heather and Alyssa and Linda and Ben for taking time out of the day to join us and to give us a little sense about what's going on in some of our schools here in La Crosse. Sustainability is no longer a nice to have in schools, it is a need to have. And I think the things that are happening at Hamilton Soda are really sort of leading the way for our area. And it's so great to see, and we are so happy to highlight that and just, shout it out to the world. So Before, just a few final announcements. If you could please take a moment to take the anonymous survey that's about to pop up on your screen here about your experience today. Again, this is anonymous. It just gives us a little bit of a sense on what you liked and gives us a little bit of direction on where to head next. So take 20 or 30 seconds or so and answer those questions for us, please. As you're finishing that up, just want to remind you that free programming like this is not possible without the support of our members. So if you like what we're doing here and you want to help support this shared vision that all of us have, right, which is to bring about a cleaner and safer and healthier and more vibrant Driftless area. If you also want that, please consider becoming a member of the Sustainability Institute. We have a variety of membership levels. So just find one that fits with your comfort level and feel free to become a member today. It's super easy. Visit sustain.com and click on the Become a Member button to get started. So that brings us to our conclusion of the July Sustainability Chat event. Thanks again to Dr. Ben Burns from Hamilton Soda, Dr. Alyssa Remsburg, Heather Talbot from Souls, and Linda Vale from Grow. We've got a few events coming up this fall. We're going to take August off for sustainability chats. We'll come back with another event, another chat in September. And then October, we have an Eco Challenge event that we're rolling out, which will be fairly new for the Sustainability Institute this year. And then we also have our annual Inspiring Sustainability Awards award show, which happens later in the fall. So stay tuned for that. You can always check our website at sustaininstitute.com to check out when those are. And again, thank you to everyone who joined us today, and we'll see you this fall.